Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Champions Mind MMA. As I promised you guys, tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about UFC 280, but we're not going to talk about the whole card. I mean, this is such a great card. There are so many great fights that I want to talk about, but I will not do it. So I'll come back in another episode to talk more about some of the other fights and give you my predictions and everything. But before I go any further, guys, please subscribe to the channel and please go to the comment section to share your comments, to answer questions or to ask questions, and to give your to share your opinions. So tonight, I want to talk about the main event of UFC 280, which is a championship fight between Charles "Du Bronx" Olivera and versus Islam Makhachev. This is one of the most anticipated fight of the year, if not in MMA in general. This is going to be one of the greatest fight, guys. I mean, I can't wait to see this card. I mean, it's going to go down on October 22nd in Abu Dhabi, but we'll be able to watch it on TV over here and on pay-per-view. And of course, UFC always have their first prelim and the early prelims and regular prelims on regular TV on ESPN. So anyways, I want to give my prediction for this fight between Charles Olivera and Islam Makhachev. Now I am predicting, guys. Now before I say that, let me say that the bookkeepers have Islam Makhachev to be a big favorite in this fight. And the fighters themselves, they kind of split. Some fighters have Islam Makhachev winning to where others have Charles Olivera winning. Now, my prediction, guys, and I'm very confident about it. I wish I were in a state where I could bet because I would have bet some money. I'm going to pick Charles Olivera to win this fight. And as a matter of fact, I'm predicting this fight will not see the third round. So I'm predicting Charles Olivera to win this fight within the first 2 rounds. But anyways, at least I'm predicting for him to win, okay? So now you may be asking, why do I sound so confident? Give me a minute, I'll explain. So to explain, I'm going to pick 3 fighters in the lightweight division. I'm going to pick Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and Conor McGregor. Now you may be asking again, but what do those guys have to do with a fight between Charles Olivera and Islam Makhachev? Again, give me a minute and I'll explain. Now I have to pick one more guy in the lightweight division to explain more clearly, and it's going to be Khabib Nurmagomedov. And again, if you're asking, if you've not been following MMA, if you're not a big fan as I am, and you try to understand, so Khabib Nurmagomedov is the friend, mentor, trainer of Islam Makhachev. Actually, they kind of grew up together. Khabib Nurmagomedov's father is kind of the guy, who trained them, and wrestling and everything. So when it comes to skills and fighting in MMA, when you talk about Islam Makhachev, it's basically you're talking about Khabib Nurmagomedov. It's almost the same guy technically. Okay, because they have the same skills, the same training and everything. So it's the same. When you talk about one, you talk about the other. And if you ask me, if I were to give the edge to one of them, I would give the edge to Nurmagomedov. I would consider Nurmagomedov to be the better of the two, if I were to. But other than that, I would think that they have equal skills. So now let me explain then with all those guys. Let me explain why I think Charles Olivera will win, okay? So Conor McGregor, before I go to Conor McGregor, let me take Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje. So Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje are common opponents for both Khabib Nurmagomedov and Charles Olivera. So both guys fought those 2 guys, okay? Now, we know the results of those fights. And we know that Charles Olivera won against Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje much quicker, in both fights, quicker than Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, does that really matter? Or can this explain what's going to happen at UFC 280 on October 22nd? Not exactly. but I think it's a good point to bring up, right? I mean, if I were a lawyer, I was arguing a case, I would definitely bring up something like this, and it would give a little bit of pause, right? I mean, he fought those guys and he won quicker. Okay, so then now let's look at Conor McGregor, which is the real piece that I want to talk about. So obviously, Charles Olivera never fought Conor McGregor, but Nurmagomedov fought Conor McGregor, and Nurmagomedov won that fight. Okay, he won the fight. It was a championship fight for those of you who are not familiar with MMA, who haven't been watching this, as much as I have. So it was a championship fight. It's a 25 minutes fight. Like 5 rounds, 5 minutes each. And Khabib Nurmagomedov succeeded in submitting McGregor in the very end of the 4th round. When I say in the very end, but like it was about less than 2 minutes left in the round when Khabib Nurmagomedov finally submitted McGregor. Now he got McGregor down in every round, every time, and try everything he could, to finish McGregor, try different submissions and try to do ground and pound and everything. But it took Nurmagomedov till almost the end of the 4th round. And actually, if you have watched the fight, after I watched the fight when it was happening, and I also just I didn't watch the whole thing, but I kind of watched it a little bit before I came and talked to you guys. And if you watch the fight, so basically you can see that Khabib Nurmagomedov was getting a bit tired. McGregor was tired. They were both getting tired, but Khabib Nurmagomedov was getting a little bit tired, by the 4th round and stuff. And but it was interesting. It's interesting to me because when it comes to grappling, I mean, Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor is day and light. Now, it's one thing if he couldn't get Conor McGregor on the ground, right? I mean, if Conor McGregor he has great, takedown defense. But obviously, those guys, the Khabib, the Islam, those kind of guys, coming from Dagestan, this style of wrestling is very hard to deal with, and it's very rare guys that they would not have been able to take down. So if he couldn't take McGregor down, that would be one thing. But he took him down every round. But McGregor still kind of managed and was able to scramble on different positions, different times, try to get him into some sort of submissions. McGregor got out and do all that. So he struggled that much with McGregor, who is not a grappler. I mean, we all know McGregor is a striker. I'm not saying that he doesn't have some basic knowledge about grappling and stuff, but there is no fighter, there is nobody in the MMA community who choose McGregor when they're talking about grappling, okay? So, I mean, obviously, those guys, they are MMA fighters. They train in every discipline. So obviously, I mean, he has knowledge. He has fundamental knowledge about, grappling or, whether it's jiu-jitsu or wrestling, whatever it is. But he's not known for his grappling. So if he struggled that much with Conor McGregor, how would he fare if he were to fight Charles Olivera, who is known for his grappling? Now, he's not known as a wrestler, but he's known for his grappling. Jiu-jitsu is a form of grappling. And he's extremely good on the ground. He's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the UFC. He has the most submissions, under his belt in the UFC. Now, I mean, if I were to analyze this fight, I would say, and all those scrambles that McGregor was able to do against Khabib, if it were Charles Olivera, I would think one of those scrambles would most likely end into some sort of submissions for Charles Olivera. So, I mean, so I can say if the fight were to go to the ground, at the very least, they would cancel each other as far as their skills on the ground, or at the very least, I would pick Charles Olivera to win by some sort of submission, definitely. Now, then, if the fight cannot be fought on the ground, of course, they're gonna be stand on the feet and bang, right? So let's see which one of those guys would have the edge in the striking department. Now, obviously, Charles, again, we already said that Charles Oliveira never fought Conor McGregor, but Charles Olivera fought Dustin Poirier, right? Conor McGregor fought Dustin Poirier. Conor McGregor, again, he's known for as he's one of the best strikers, not just in the lightweight division, but in the UFC in general. But Dustin Poirier KO'd him twice, very handily. They fought 3 times. The first time, very, very early, I think that's when in 2014, when both the guys were pretty young in their career and everything, not as experienced. Conor McGregor won by TKO. But then they fought just recently twice, and Dustin Poirier very handily won both fights, via TKO. All right. So now, in the fight between Dustin Poirier and Charles Olivera, I did not see Charles Olivera get outstruck by Dustin Poirier, okay? I did not see that. Now, am I saying that Charles Olivera is a better striker than McGregor? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying Charles Olivera is pretty good at striking. That's all I'm saying. He's pretty good. And he's not afraid of striking either. So his striking is very sound. And he's kind of, in your face kind of guy. And now we have if you saw Charles Olivera fighting Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje already made his mind he was going to come for Olivera, and he came. And he was right there in the face, in Olivera's face, and Olivera did not take one step back. He was standing right there in his face too, and they were throwing bombs at each other. And man, he dropped Dustin Gaethje a couple of times, and finally he just submitted Justin Gaethje. So again, I'm not saying he's a better striker than Justin Gaethje, but I'm just saying Justin Gaethje didn't outstrike him. So Charles Olivera is a very good striker on his own. So if I were to give the edge and striking between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Charles Olivera, I would have to pick Charles Olivera. So technically, guys, if a fight were to be between Nurmagomedov and Charles Olivera would be the winner, based on everything that I just explained. And now we can just extrapolate this. We move Khabib Nurmagomedov and make the man be Islam Makhachev. It's the exact same thing, exact same scenario. Everything that I just explained, that's the exact same thing that would happen in a fight between Charles Olivera and Islam Makhachev, because Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev is the same person. So because of that, guys, that's why I'm so confident of picking Charles Olivera. And you guys mark my word. In October 22nd at UFC 280, Charles Olivera will become a 2-time UFC lightweight champion. I can't wait to watch this fight. And so I have Charles Olivera, guys. And again, go to the comment section, share your comment, tell me what you think. Who do you think has the edge? Who do you think is going to win? Let me know, guys. So I'll come back to talk to you guys more about those fights and make more predictions. But until I see you again, guys, peace out.